Hey everybody, DJ here. Welcome back to DJ Tutorials, and this is going to be the first of a series on DaVinci Resolve. This video is going to be covering the download and installation portion, and we're going to be just looking at a basic overview of what it is. If you haven't yet, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out, and it's super easy for you to do. Make sure you hit the bell icon to get notifications and all that when new videos are released. You know the drill. We also have a Discord community if you'd like to ask questions or collaborate with any other artists or just chat. We have that. The link's down below. And there's a Patreon community if you'd like to have early access to videos or other perks like that. Please join the community. You can see the fine individuals scrolling at the bottom. And that link is also below in the video description. So we're going to be looking at this right here. This is on the website. You'll get the link down below so you don't have to do a search for it because there are sort of like fake sites that say it's a download. You really want to get it from the actual Blackmagic Design website. And you can see their little demo reel here in the beginning, their sizzle reel. Usually this is what it's called. And really it's an editing software, it's a coloring software, it's there's a compositing feature in it. It's really the industry standard when it comes to this type of stuff. So, this and Nuke are probably some of, the two main softwares that's used in like AAA feature films and, large studio projects for television or movies or what have you. So, the really awesome thing about this is that there is a free version. So anyone can basically learn this and use a lot of the basic stuff. There are some things that you can't have access to, and we'll sort of look at that as we start to go through all of the more ins and outs of this particular software. But it's a really, really awesome thing. It's a very awesome tool for you to get used to. And especially if you're looking to break into the industry or you really just want your stuff to have that little bit of extra professionalism, you really want to learn how to use this, especially the coloring system that's in it, because it just will make your project sparkle. So if you kind of like scroll down, you can see all of the sort of things that are inside of the program from the coloring and all of this sort of stuff here. So I'm just going to bypass all this. You could just take their training course and all that, but you're on my channel, so I'm going to be sort of doing my own spin on some of this education, especially for those of you who are CGI users, Blender users, stuff like that, and you really just want to know how to put your stuff into a timeline, render it out as a video, and upload it to something like YouTube. So that's really what we're going to be trying to do here. So you're going to want to keep scrolling down, keep scrolling down, keep scrolling down, and let's see, it's over here somewhere. So we have DaVinci Resolve, and you can see DaVinci Resolve Studio. So we're going to be using the free download here. If you do want to purchase it, by all means, go ahead and do that. It's right there. But we're just going to click this one here. And you can see here there's DaVinci Resolve 17 or 16.2.8. So really, we're going to do the newest one because I just do that. But this might be more stable. So it's really up to you on what you want to use. So we're going to click this one. I use Windows. And you're going to have to fill in your information here. So once you do that, like I know that you might not want to give your personal information out or whatever, but you're getting this thing for free and they want to really kind of track where the stuff is going. Just fill out the stuff with the asterisks and all that and click the register and download and you'll be able to do that. And I've already actually downloaded this, so you don't need to watch the download happen. It might take a few minutes because it is a robust software. If I go into here, you can see it's right there and it's going to be in this little zip folder. If you double click on that, and you double click on the one inside, you'll have to wait for a while, and I apologize if that little Windows notification comes up. Let me actually turn the sound off so it doesn't screw up the audio, but you will see a black screen, and it will take a few moments for it to actually open up. You can see that it is a large file. You can see compressed right here, and there's that ratio there of 1%. So it is really compressed. It's really small, and you can see there it's working, extracting the files, and we're going to hit yes here. You probably didn't see it, but there's a little thing that pops up that says yes to install it. And then you'll see right here, here is the installer. So you can see right there, Resolve Installer, click the checkbox, click Install, and just like everything else, click Next, accept the terms, read through this, of course, Next, and you can change your file path, install, and we'll wait. And let's finish that. Okay. And then let's go ahead and I'm just going to type in, oh, there it is right there, DaVinci Resolve. You can do a search or the shortcut should be on your desktop. We will open this up. and take a look inside the program. And if you're used to any sort of video editing programs, you might be a little bit confused because it starts off like this. So you have this untitled project thing right here with this little bar, and you can change some of like the tile size if you have a lot of projects. You can change how this is sort of oriented here. So what we're going to do is we're going to just click on new project. And just an FYI to all you folks, I'm not going to show you every single thing in this video. I'm just going to show you some very very basics. Okay, some just general overview stuff. We're going to be going into some more detail on some of the other items in a little bit. So, or at least in future videos. So I'm just going to click on new project. We're going to call this test tutorial. Oops, tutorial project. My finger is actually injured right now, so my typing's a little bit weird. I have regular typos all the time, anyways, but I did injure my finger recently, so you might see some weird stuff here. So let's go ahead and create that. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you first open up the project. And what we're going to do is we're just going to import something into our media pool here. Okay, so what we're going to do is instead of here at cut, we're going to go over to edit at the bottom. And you can see there's all these different things here. So let's go to edit. So inside of the edit panel here, we can right click on the left hand side where it says no clips in the media pool. Right click here, go down to import media. And you can see right here it's Control I, or I think it's Command I on the Mac. Click on that and then make sure to select all these. So I'm going to hit Control A to select all of the images in the image sequence and click open. If it's a video file, you should just be able to click the one file. Click open. And then you can see up here, we have the file, and you can see that if I sort of like hover above it and I scrub across from the left to the right, you can see a preview of what that looks like. All right. So if I left click and drag to pull this into the timeline, now you can see that we have the entire project on this timeline, which is pretty cool. And what we can also do is if we go over here to the left and you select the toolbox drop down and you go down to titles, you can actually left click and drag something like this lower left third. And if we put that right there and then hover over this right here and left click and drag across, you can put a title in. And you can see right here we have title and sample. It's probably a little small on the screen, but you should be able to see this just fine. And over here on the right, if you look over here, there's up here, if we click on this inspector, there's information on the right on what to like type in here. So for title, we can call this whatever we want. So we're going to call this DJ tutorials. And then underneath where it says sample, if you scroll down, you can see there's another text right here. So if you hover or left click and drag to delete that and or to highlight it and delete it, and we can call this DaVinci Resolve Video 1 or something along those lines. Now we have that in there. And you can see it's a little hard to see. There's some, it's not really being pulled off the background very well. So if we scroll down, you can see there's a stroke section and there's a drop shadow section. And if we add this drop shadow, if you left click and drag this blur or the opacity, you might not see anything right away. And that's because first you have to offset it. So let's offset by a little bit. And it's kind of subtle. It's down here. I'm going to use the middle mouse wheel and then middle mouse click to move over so you can see it. So here's DaVinci Resolve Video 1. And if we turn on and off with this little slider here, the drop shadow, you can see there is one there, but it's a little hard to see. So let's pull the blur down. And there you can see it's just pulling it off enough to where we can see the video. So there's the settings there if you'd like to use that. And you could turn the opacity up or turn it down or whatever, just to get it enough to be what you need it to be. So there's that. So your sequence, a title, and let's say you wanted to have a little bit of a transition. You wanted it to sort of fade in and fade out. Well, what's really cool is down on the timeline here, there is a section on the top. If you hover above either of these sections, there's these little flags on the upper left and the upper right. And there's already built in, if you left click and drag this, there's already built in sort of a linear fall off. So if we go to that right there, you can see that it fades in and it fades out. And on the left here, we can click and drag that over. And you can see that it fades in and it fades out. Okay, pretty cool. You can animate this stuff, but we're not really going to talk about that right now. So the next things down here, I'm just going to briefly go over and I'll show you some of the coloring stuff, but not enough to, for you to actually know what's going on. So in Fusion, this is basically the compositor. So it's a node-based compositing system where you can do all kinds of really cool stuff. We're really not going to get into this at least for a bit. I'm going to show people how to do the, basic stuff, and then we'll probably talk about some of the Fusion related stuff, at least whatever's free in this particular software. So if we go over to the color, and let's go ahead and go to File and Save Project. And over here, you can see there's all kinds of stuff. And this might look very similar to when you use the different coloring systems inside of Blender. If you're a avid watcher of my channel, you'll know that I use Blender for all my CGI stuff. That's what the DJ, all this stuff in here, the actual video was all made in Blender. And in there, you can actually color your footage as well. But you may have heard me say, don't really do that there. You want to really do that inside of a different program after you've rendered out the imagery. So you really want to do your video coloring inside of a program like this because it's a lot more accurate, at least from what I understand, and you get a lot better scopes. I mean, look how great these scopes are over here on the right. And you can change these to all kinds of stuff. So you can see where the color is being pulled in these two directions here at the vector scope. You can take a look at the waveform in the coloring, and you can also switch it to a black and white if you want. You have all of these different sliders here. You have an S curve that you can add to it. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do. And what's really awesome is over here you can color your footage. So if we move to a different part of the timeline, and normally you would add a node here, but I'm just going to do it on our basic stuff. Actually, no, I'm just going to do the adding a node. So if I right click, add node, and just choose this corrector here, and then left click and drag to place that right between. If you have this selected, okay, and we go down here, we can actually left click and drag some of these and change the overall color. So you can see up here, the coloring is changing, and you can cool it down, and you can change the different black and white value areas by moving these around, and you can see a live update of your scopes over here on the right. You can change the lift or however you kind of want to color this. So I'm not going to go into the theory on all this sort of stuff, and we'll get into that a little bit deeper in some other stuff, but you can also turn it off by selecting it here and doing sort of a comparison between the two. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that because we really don't need it. Now we're going to bypass Firelight. This is basically their audio system, but we're going to bypass this just like I said before. We're not really going to cover this on this one. We're going to go to the deliver, and this is where a lot of people get confused, including myself when I go between different softwares. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this really nice and easy. Most people are going to want to just upload their stuff to YouTube, probably for some kind of it's their portfolio or something like that, or they just want to show off something. So we're going to click on YouTube, and you can see that once we click on that, there's all these presets here, okay? Now, you don't want 24 for your frame rate, okay? If you have a solid like number and it's not one of these here, a lot of times the playback on a lot of monitors will get very jittery, and I never understood why this happened. I always thought that you really wanted a high frame rate and it should be like whatever your output was or whatever. But what you really want to do is you want to change this to something like this. And what it does is it will blend frames together so that you get a much better looking image. That may or may not make sense to you. I don't know, but just trust me on this right now. You want to use a dropped frame sort of format. Okay, so we're going to click 23.976. Let's just keep this QuickTime and keep this as H.264. Audio codec, we'll just leave it whatever because there is no audio on this right now. And we're going to change the file name here. We're going to call this DJ Tutorials Test, and then we're going to call it Test DaVinci Resolve 1. And then location, you're going to go ahead and browse to the location that you're going to save it. And I already know where I'm going to save it. I'm just going to paste the location here. And we should be good. So then what you want to do, and apparently there's an upload directly to YouTube. I would not recommend you do that because you kind of want to check your file before you send it out. So we're going to click Add to Render Queue. You can see it's right there. And then you'll want to click this. Okay, and you can edit it right here. There are ways to do some uploads and all that kind of stuff, but we're just gonna, put it over here into the job here, and you can add a whole bunch of stuff. You could change, change the coloring to 3 different things and render them out, and then, send it to a client with 3 different ones. Or you can make the 3 different ones and then put them all on the same timeline if you want. You can do all kinds of stuff like that. Okay. And then you can scrub across here to just check what your edit looks like before you send it out. And then let's go ahead and click this render all, but let's save first just to make sure. So save project, render all, and there the rendering is happening. And then boom, right here, we have our video. And if we double click on it, you can see that the video is playing right here. Okay. So hopefully that gets you started. We'll be looking more in depth at a lot of the different things this can do, especially the coloring, and taking a closer look at some of the visual effects you can do and transitions and just some general editing tips and all that in future videos. So make sure that you are subscribed to see those videos when they are released, and I will see you all next time on DJ Tutorials.